Good evening and good evening to everybody. Thank you for joining us again for another episode of Mental Moments. Welcome to our show. My name is Natasha Barnes-Owens and my co-host is Malara Green. How are you this evening, Malara?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you, sis?
I'm pretty good, pretty good. No problems, no problems to speak of. How was your day?
It's been good. This is actually my start of my what I would say birthday staycation, if you will. And I am literally ready to celebrate. Like I have
I saw it.
a whole schedule. Listen, but I will say this though, I'm excited because it's the first year that I was intentional about celebrating myself and then welcoming people into how I wanted to celebrate instead of the opposite, creating a celebration for others, and all that stuff. So I'm pretty excited. So today has been a good day.
Well, happy. So when is your actual birthday?
It's April the 8th. So my actual birthday is Monday. Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool beans. Happy birthday month. If you
Yes,
anything like
ma'am.
me, I celebrate all month long. And if I could celebrate all year, I would. I really would. So listen, so Malara, I'm super excited and guests and everybody that is tuning in tonight, we're asking you to please share, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also, please please share it with your friends. We're just trying to share some love and spread some type of positivity into the atmosphere because it's so needed. It's so needed. So listen, Malara, I am super stoked about tonight. Super stoked about tonight. Tonight we have the writer for What It's Worth and the producer of this movie that is airing on BET Plus. So I'm super excited about how we are crossing over into or bringing or shedding more light on mental health on the television screen or in the movies. So it's just not a taboo. It's not a taboo conversation, but it's actually something that we all are kind of like taking notice of about our mental health and how we can share with our friends and share with our loved ones about mental health and the benefits that you can get just by inquiring about getting help. So
Mm-hmm.
tonight, we have Miss LaJill Hunt, who I'm bringing to the stage, and we also have Loretta Edwards Wilson, who is also on the stage with us tonight. So let me just share a little bit about LaJill. Now, first and foremost, LaJill and Malara, we ain't know that sister lived in Virginia Beach.
Oh.
Virginia Beach for over 20 years. I didn't know that. I didn't know that, LaJill. She lives in Suffolk, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We
Okay.
lived in Suffolk, from my, I guess, 10th grade year of high school. And I left when I was 21 and moved to Maryland. But we were right there. We were like right there. We
Mm-hmm.
were probably neighbors.
I know. And now I live in Wakanda. God is good.
So listen, everybody. So LaJill Hunt, Mobile, Alabama native author LaJill has resided in Virginia Beach for over 20 years and currently live, like she would like to call it, Wakanda, Atlanta, Georgia. Her writing career started as a stress reliever while working as a bill collector. Okay, we're gonna need some stress relief because we don't want y'all calling us. We don't want you calling us. So boredom kicked in around about maybe 30 years of age and pushed her into writing for the purpose of entertaining her coworkers. This was the first step into becoming a published author. In 2003, LaJill tucked her pride, ignored her fears, which we don't do sometimes, and stepped out on faith. She allowed God to open a door that would walk her into an instant hit, Essence bestseller, Drama Queen. She was all too familiar with the drama as her home life spiraled into an emotionally and physically abusive roller coaster. Searching for an outlet, she continued writing books and has released several novels such as Midlife Crisis, Imitation of Wife,
Mm.
Private Property, and many more. LaJill gifts of writing expanded to television as she began co-writing The Family Business and The Black Hamptons, book and television series with the New York Times bestselling author Carl Weber. She penned several TV movies for BET Network, including a suspense thriller, Infidelity, a faith-based film, The Final Say, and her latest, For What It's Worth. a film centered around mental health. LaJill aspires to write emotionally charged, drama filled projects that entertain, educate, and leave viewers and readers waiting and wanting more. LaJill, I had to just read this because I was like, ooh, what can I just like take out? What can I
You
can take out anything.
could have taken out some of it, but okay.
No, I didn't have to take out anything. So welcome, 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 LaJill, to the show tonight. And now we're going to talk a little bit about Miss Loretta, who I know from work. I worked with her for many years at BET in Washington, D.C. So here we go. Here we go. Loretta has spearheaded the purchase and development of content at the media Paramount Global, representing the BET networks, along with Centric Brand. She also acquired content for TV One and Clio TV. Loretta also worked in various film producing roles on movies such as Belle for Showtime and produced for BET Wrap It Up campaign, contributing to winning an Emmy for the film initiative. Most recently, Loretta has produced featured film such as For What It's Worth, The Final Say, My Valentine Crush, and My Valentine Wedding for BET Networks. Loretta has curated programming with many other television network and film studios such as MTV, Comedy Central, Disney, to Sony Pictures. Through all of Loretta's experiences, she often did not see women of color that acted like her or any other woman of color she knew. She felt that the media severely lacked the representation of not only her story, but the stories of so many others. Loretta created a bold move media, which was a bold move, to bring a refreshing look to women of color in television, film, and in the digital space. A bold move produces content to uplift, entertain, and to portray women of color in ways never seen before. Loretta, I am super stoked and super excited that we got you all up here. That we got you all up here
You
tonight.
could have put some of mine
No,
on.
we're not. No, I'm giving you all
Mm-mm.
your flowers. I'm giving you everything, everything, everything. Because wow. Because we want people to really see that, just like you just said, Loretta, we want women of color to see somebody that look and may perhaps act similar to them, see them in the forefront and also behind the scenes, working to make sure that we are represented and we're represented well in the media. So I could not cut yours out either. So deal with it, okay?
Thank you.
You're certainly welcome. So, welcome again, ladies, to Mental Moments. And this is a show wherein I know Loretta knows, wherein we highlight and we talk about situations and that deals with our mental health, what will stunt it, what will enhance it. And so, I really just felt it not robbery to have you ladies on this evening to actually first, LaJill, what possessed you, because this film, for what it's worth, is so awesome. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. So what possessed you to write this movie?
Actually, Loretta presented me with an opportunity. We were in New York for a screening for another film that she worked on that was not mentioned. Um,
Which
Natasha
was,
was there. Natasha was there.
oh yeah, so
I
oh
got
yes.
problems. Yes, you were there. You were there.
yes, so the day after the screening, we went to breakfast, and she said, "Jill," she said, "I want to do a project about mental health in the Black community," and I was like, "Okay." And so I was like, "Well, what? Well, what?" She was like, "Do you?"
Wow.
And so I told her, I said, "Okay, I'll do it." And I said, "Well, Loretta, there are certain things that I don't want to touch on. Like, I don't want it to be typical. Now, not to dismiss any mental health issues, but I didn't want to do suicide. I didn't want to do bipolar. I didn't want to do schizophrenia. And I wanted to highlight other issues that don't get talked about in the community. So She was like, do you?
She kept saying, do you?
Yeah, and I appreciate that because a lot of people kind of try to tell you what to do or steer you, but she was just like, do you? And so I just,
Did you?
I did me. I was literally sitting on a tarmac on a plane that same day. I had a notepad. It's so crazy because I found it the other day. It was like a notepad from the hotel that I stayed in where I had like took notes. And then I like typed them into my phone and I said, Loretta, what do you think about this? Like literally, our plane was delayed like 4 hours.
Wow.
Myself.
Look at God. Look at God.
Yes. And it was myself, the music producer for What It's Worth, Bilal Muhammad, and Shaquita Smith, who was in My Valentine Crush. We were all on a plane. We were sitting on the tarmac for like 4 hours. And I was like, and I just.
So did you go to school for writing?
I took TV production in high school. I was blessed to be able to have a great guidance counselor who we would meet before, like at the beginning of the school year and the end of the school year. So every year he would say, well, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to be? Like, what are your career aspirations? And I always said, like, for the first 2 years, I want to be a dentist. I was like, I want to be a dentist. So, he would put me in these classes. And then by the end of my sophomore year, he was like, so what do you want to be? And I was like, I want to be a dentist. He was like, I don't know, LaJill. These science grades, math grades. And I said, I want to be an orthodontist. He was like, you're not. He said, but your English grades and your history grades are outstanding. He said, like, that's what we need to play on. And he was like, we're going to put you in TV production. So my junior and my senior year of high school, like, I was in TV production and drama. So that kind of like planted the seed. Yeah. And I was like really, really good at it. I went to college for mass communications, but my degree is in English mass communications. I taught third grade for 1 year.
1 year.
Yes, I had a student throw a desk at me, and I knew that was not my calling. I was like, oh no.
Was this in Virginia?
This was in Virginia, yes. And when I agreed to take the teaching position, my mom told me, she was like, teachers are called. That is not your calling. And if that's not your calling, you're not, she said, you're going to mess somebody's child up because that's not what you're called to do. She said, don't go in them people's school, in them classroom and mess up somebody's child up. And so when he threw the desk at me, I was like, he was messing me up. I knew then that was not my calling. I needed to find something else to do. And I immediately jumped ship and went to work for Verizon as a collector. Like, yeah.
Bye.
So,
Bye. So listen. So what we're gonna do when we come back from this, I want to play a clip of the movie, and when we come back, that can pretty much tell everybody how it started on the tarmac, and then we'll also start speaking with Loretta in a second. Okay. So hold tight, everybody. Stay tuned.
Malik is in the hospital. He got admitted last night.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I'm Dr. Naomi Samuels. I'm Malik's sister. Why is he here?
Malik is getting the best care possible.
Naomi, you really got to get a handle on your anger issues.
Something is not in my life, Trey.
But I'm about to figure it out.
Maybe you need to check yourself.
The four of you have always been there for each other, even when you had your differences.
Sometimes God allows minor setbacks for major comebacks. Trust me, it's all gonna work out.
Everyone expects me to show up for them. But who the hell is gonna show up for me?
We are family, and family sticks together.
Wow. Every single time I watch that, I'm just like, when he said, who the hell gonna show up for me? Mm-hmm. It's in the gut because we know, like we all know a brother who is struggling with mental health, trying to keep up with society or what society said he should be, or what the workforce is pressuring him to be, and what they're not allowing him to be. And then you come home, and then perhaps he may not have the support system. So when he said that part, like, that really dug in deep. What were your thoughts when you created strong but weak, not necessarily weak, but strong, but men that needed some help?
Strong but struggling.
Like what? Because we know of them. They're our cousins, they're our uncles. I mean, we know of them. So what was your thought when you was putting these the male characters together? What were you trying to portray? What did you want the audience to actually see?
I definitely wanted to portray strong, Black, successful. One thing I can say in my books and in my film projects, I do not male bash, because we got enough of that.
Right.
It is so much of that already. So I knew that I loved Malik, and I knew that Gerard was somebody that you would want to have as your big brother. Even though he's like she said, you're a bully, because that's what sometimes it can feel like when you have that strong male. And when we talk about being submissive as women, it's not just you're supposed to be submissive to your husband, but sometimes your strong male best friends or your brothers are the ones that we also need to kind of be like, they are really looking out for our best interests at heart.
Yeah.
Even though it may seem a little bit controlling or bullying, but sometimes your male best friends see some things that you do not see, or your brother sees some things that, like, oh my gosh, my male best friend, he always sees something before I see it, and it irks me. It irks me. But I also know that men struggle, but men usually struggle internally, and it manifests externally in different ways. So I kind of wanted to show that as well. Like the external manifestation of what these men were dealing with internally. Like Malik was sick.
Yeah.
He did not want to burden. Like he knew his sisters and their situation. So instead of him like being honest, like he had to be the strong man and didn't want to burden his family, with any of that.
Wow. So Loretta, did she nail it?
Oh, yes. 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 I mean, as you said, I don't know if I've seen that trailer, but each time I look at it and I'm in it, like, I don't know what happens in the movie, right? So, I mean, first of all, LaJill to come up with this concept, right? While the plane was delayed, was something. I remember the phone call. She called me and she said, I got it. I'm like, where are you? Okay. She's like, my plane hasn't left, but I got it.
She thought we had already taken off. Like she thought we were gone.
Yes.
That was when we was in Atlanta for
we were in New York.
New York.
We were in New York for the
that's right, New York for the other movie. Right.
Yes.
To Atlanta. And so I couldn't believe it. And when she pitched it to me, they were such relatable characters. That's one thing. And I think I probably got on LaJill's nerves because as she was writing the script, I was like, I know this person. This is like so-and-so, right? This is like so-and-so in my life. I know this person. I know this person. And, really it's a testament to her writing, right? And I was connecting, and for when I'm hearing as people see the movie, they connected, right? And then, there are real things. You see our lead, Naomi, who's going through, she's the angry Black woman, right? And we hear this a lot.
All the time.
And, sometimes we have a right to be angry, right? Mm-hmm. We have a right to be angry, but it's the way we deal with anger. We have to process it in a healthy way. But we have a right? And I'm not going to give away the movie for those who haven't seen it yet, but Naomi has a right to be angry, right? We have, Fallon, who's going through emotional eating, but like, what does the eating? It's deeper than just the I guess what we're seeing, right? Just the plate of food, just the connection, the emotional, the inner turmoil that she was going through, right?
And nightmares.
Yeah, in the nightmares, that she was going through some real stuff, right? And we talked about Gerard with anxiety, and even Malik, he's the crux of it, which I love that LaJill built, right? But he also is keeping secrets, which we all have no friends, family who do this, but sometimes it's to our detriment, and it really weighs on our mental health. So
Yes.
I loved it, and I said, you know what, definitely wanted to produce this, pitched it to BT, thankful for BT Plus and then BT Networks
We're
to
gonna give a shout out to Larissa.
Yes, Larissa Bates, who was just oh my gosh, she was our shepherd. I'll just say all through, the whole process. So yes.
And Miss Kelsaw is a homage to Larissa.
Please let us talk. Go ahead, LaJill. Talk about Mrs. Kelsaw, okay?
Kelsaw actually was the guidance counselor who helped Larissa get her scholarships when she was in high school. And she always talked about Miss Kelsaw. And Miss Kelsaw helped me. And if it wasn't for Miss Kelsaw, and so I was like, Lord have mercy. Let me put Miss Kelsaw up in here.
Well, thank you. Who played Miss Kelsaw?
Yes. And that's one of the lines that people like quoted from the movie. Like that's one of the quotable lines like that people said, like, one thing about family, we always stick together.
Yeah. So when I tell you the whole movie, it was just a whirlwind. And just to hear both of you speak about how the puzzle pieces came together and how the people came together. Next month, we're going to interview the character Fallon, and it's so crazy how her own story intertwines in with her character. Like, who knew?
Yeah.
Malira, please, all of the disorders that we were just talking about, what is it that you can share with us how we in the Black community shy away from or try to minimize mental illness?
So here's the piece. We have a Captain Save-A-Ho mentality in our community. And what do I mean by that? We love to wear the superhero cape, but I always tell people, what is it worth your cape being red if it's actually your blood because you haven't taken care of the wounds and things that you've experienced? And as you guys were talking, that's the thing that I was thinking about. Like a lot of the times we don't want to talk about our anxiety. We don't want to talk about our grief. We don't want to talk emotional eating because people have acted as if we don't have a mental health. I tell people all the time, the same way we go to a doctor and we get checked every year for an annual, it's the same thing with your mental health. If you have a brain, you have things that you deal with and you struggle with. 90% of every person have experienced some form of trauma, right? And that trauma don't have to be big. It doesn't have to be sexual abuse and assault, war, or none of that. It can be something as small as I went to school today and didn't like my lunch. And when I went home, they didn't have food at home either. That could be a trauma. Or it could be my mom put her new boyfriend before me, like whatever it is that trauma is. So for me, it is a space of in our community, we have to destigmatize something that is normal. Your brain is normal. You process things normally. And then what happens in our community as well, we have this history of mislabeling. Like a lot of our brown and Black boys are diagnosed with ADHD. And then what happens is they end up giving them a stimulant, but that stimulant further separates the two bridges in your brain. So now you have a medication that's further separating and you're wondering why Black men are angry. And it's because they just gave them a chemical for something that they didn't even have in the first place. Then you have the Black women who we're supposed to just be nurturing and show up and smile and be mama, be wife, be worker, be all these things. But let you take a moment to yourself. The first thing somebody want to throw at you is, well, aren't you supposed to be taking care of your kids? Isn't that what my village is here for? You know, you don't want me to be angry. So I just think in our community, if we came together and had more movies like this that allow for people to see that what they feel is normal. I think if we can understand my anxiety is normal. You know, my when I'm feeling sad, that's normal. If someone died and I'm having grief, that's not a bad thing. If I feel anger, like I tell people, anger is not good or bad, it's what you do with it. So the more we have things like this being put in front of our community, it will start more conversations to help us destigmatize some of the challenges that we have.
And this movie is the type of movie that you have a watch party, right? Get all your friends or your family and y'all just sit and y'all have this watch party, right? And yeah, we're going to have our food. Yeah, we might have a little drinky drink. Maybe have some other little things we're not talking about. However, in between, I'm pretty sure some of us, you know, if you have a watch party, some of us might sit in the seat of our soul and be like, you know what, that's me all day long. And after the movie, it would be so awesome, so wonderful to have that conversation, have your own little group therapy session. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's the idea. I know, Mala.
So I'm seeing a whole conference. Like, so I'm very spiritual. That's the first time you meeting y'all. So hey, y'all, hey. But I literally see it as a conference of bringing our Black people together and actually watching it and breaking it down into segments and breaking us down into stuff. Because if we don't do that, this is just going to become another cute movie that somebody's like, oh, I like that character, and we're going to walk away. But if we're very intentional about putting this in front of our community and really having those hard conversations and being able to say, well, which character resonates with you the most? Like when y'all talking about emotional eating, I was like, let me go watch this movie so I can stop, right? So I think it's just that intentionality, and the more that we put it in front of people and having these levels of conversations. My biggest thing when it comes to my clients is I normalize for them their experience. Like I'm always telling them like what you feel is normal, you know, or is normal to you, because there's really no such thing as normal, you know.
Right.
So it's being able to have these levels of conversations for sure.
I love it, Malara. I love it. So, you know, and that's one of the things I hope, you know, comes through from the movie. These conditions, they're universal.
Yeah.
A lot of it's just not us that goes through them, but the way we deal with them is different. Right. And, you know, it really does help. I would love to normalize seeking a licensed therapist. We talk about our hairstylist. We talk about, I don't know, our friends.
Nail tech.
Thank you. You know, just talking about, I went to see my therapist. You need a therapist? Let me recommend you, you know, just like that, normalizing, seeking help, because a lot of times we go to our hairstylist for therapy, right? So, and we
or the barbershop.
Right, or the barbershop, right? So, you know, sometimes those people are equipped, a lot of times they're not, right? So are we really getting the help that we need? And you know, I just want that to, I'm hoping people start having conversations around it. And I wanted something entertaining. And you know, like LaJill nailed it, right?
She nailed it.
Because you go through, there's the relationships, there's the messiness. I tell her she does messy well, right? Messy well. There's, you know, all that. But at the end of the day, people are talking. We're having conversations like this afterwards. And I said, okay, you know, the job is done.
Mission accomplished.
And I want to call out my fellow therapists as well. I think one thing that I tell people is you got to present that you're human, right? So as for a clinician like me, I show up just like this: long nails, bright hair, big earrings. Sometimes I might be sitting in my bed because they sitting in their bed, you know. And I think it comes a point that in the mental health field, we need to do a better job marrying our expertise with our experience. Because what ends up happening is you have these people, like Tasha will tell you, I have the whole ABCs behind my name, but I specifically take it off because I never want people to feel intimidated or anything like that. We have people in our field that somebody does go and seek therapy and you're using all these lofty words and you're acting as if you ain't never experienced something. That's not going to help anything. So if we have more people in the mental health field that's like, hey, I'm doing this not because of my knowledge, but I'm doing it because I became what I needed. I think that will help in the Black community because we're more relational beings. We're not beings that care too much about statistics. We're not beings that care too much about certain things. So if I can relate to you and you can tell me, look, I'm doing this because I have PTSD, or I'm doing this because I've had trauma as well, or this is what I experienced, I think that will also bridge the gap when you'll have clinicians that's not afraid. Like I get asked all the time, are you afraid you're gonna get your license taken away? I said, and they do, that just means God don't want me to have it no more. Because I'm really big on, I'd rather save a life with my story than save a life with me throwing book stuff at you. So I think that will help in our community too, if we have more clinicians that bridge the gap between their expertise and their actual experiences.
And everybody, if by chance you are interested in becoming a therapist, because we need more African-American people of color, not just African-American, we need Indian, we need all different races, because sometimes African-Americans don't like to, or they may go to one therapy session and don't go back because they feel like, and which is true in most cases, that someone of another color cannot relate or understand the trauma or the things that they're going through, because PTSD for African American is something totally different than someone of another race. It just is. If you're a Black male and born in the US of A, 9 times out of 10 you may have PTSD just because you're African American men. Just because. And then mothers, we go through so much anxiety. Especially remember when all of these Black men were getting killed. When I tell you the anxiety that I had, and my son was just like, Mom, why can't I fight? You know, because he and his cousin used to play fight in public. I'm like, son, please don't do that. Please, please. Because I don't want someone to be like, I felt attacked, I felt threatened. So I had to. But most people, so I'm telling you, if you're out there and you think you have the calling to be a therapist or to be a psychologist, a psychiatrist, please reach out to Malira. I'm putting you out there, Malira.
Listen, I'm here.
You need to take in order to go that route. So we just need you. We just need you. But right now, what we're going to do, I want to play maybe 1 or 2 other little clips from the movie, and we'll talk about it.
Malik is going to be okay. You know that, right?
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
You have nothing to worry about. We are family, and family sticks together.
Ooh, sticking together. When they say that's almost like a double-edged sword. You know, when they say family stick together, that could be a good thing and a bad thing, because oftentimes in our community, when they say what goes on in this house,
in this house.
And that's where a lot of the situations and issues come up.
Yeah. My grandma had a thing. It was cute at the time, but it says, what you see here, say here, and hear here, let it stay here when you leave here. It was a plaque thing, like right by the door. Yeah.
That is so good and bad, because it all depends on what the situation is, because in the African American community, we were always taught that we don't take our business outside of this house. And then oftentimes we're suffering. Mothers are suffering, children are suffering, and they're afraid because we were taught to lead in fear, to instill fear into our children so that they would not go out and talk about what goes on in his family. But to a lot, it hasn't helped. It hasn't helped. Malira?
So that is my entire plight, to be honest. I heal through my storytelling, and I've learned that I thrive in my vulnerability and I thrive in my transparency. And to be honest with you, I don't give a flip phone who like it or not, because at the end of the day, it's my story. And when I started to tell my story, especially about the incest and things like that from 3 to 13 and sexual trauma and all that stuff, all my entire story was the story of every single generation that came before me. So when I had my daughter, I was like, listen, that's not going to be her story. I don't know about y'all, but somebody got to say something. And it doesn't mean I got to tell people names and air it out and all of that. It's all in how you do it. And that's why, honestly, I became a therapist, because it was so much that I experienced that other people experience. And it's like, why didn't y'all say something? Like, I remember it broke my mom's heart. She was like, I tried so hard to not be like my mom, and then I became my mom, or I tried so hard to protect you. But what I realize is we become what we focus on. And the Black community, and I think we had this conversation a few weeks ago when we were talking about how, it was our show was talking about the Black community and how we can show up for each other. And I remember saying one of our detriments is we focus so much on the problem in the Black community that we've never sat down and talked about the solution. Mm-hmm. So if I'm always focused on, I don't want to be like my mama, I don't want to be like my daddy, I don't want to be broke, I don't want to be in the projects, I don't want to be a baby mama, guess what the flip you're going to become? All of the things you don't want to be, because I'm not doing any research to solve it or do anything different.
Well, to break that
I literally tell people, like, literally focus on the life that you want. And, we hate terms like manifestation in the Black community because we think it's spooky and it's not Christian. And no, like God says, you have not because you ask not. And in our community, we don't ask for better. All we want to do is talk about the things we never had. All we want to do is talk about slavery. And we want to talk about, like, for example, there was a gentleman that was killed a couple hours ago in front of the barbershop here in Virginia. For what? Why are we killing each other? And it's because nobody's sitting here and really thinking about solutions. And I tell you, to Loretta and LaJill, you guys are now a part of the solution because you're showing and you're normalizing things. So if we can continue to have more of that, this whole what happens in this house stays in this house, I don't believe in that. Now, do I believe that some things, there's a time to share certain things? Absolutely. Do I feel like I need to tell you the whole truth? I do not. Why? It doesn't make me a liar. It just means you need to know certain things and you don't need to know certain things.
Absolutely.
But me dying on the inside because I don't want to talk about the incest, like, why do you think marriages are falling apart now? It's because growing up, grandma knew that granddad had a family down the street. They had an agreement. So when people be talking about polyamory and polygamy and looking down, we've been living that lifestyle in the Black community for so long, but nobody can have a conversation. So if we can even just have conversations about stuff like that, about marriage, about what kept families together, we would really be a family that actually could stay together.
And we know that it's uncomfortable. We know that it's uncomfortable. I mean, even like just talking to my daughter about certain conversations about sex and about birth control, about this and that, it's so uncomfortable. But I'm like, Tasha, here goes. Let's do it. And I just trudge away and I just feel like, look, she needs to know. We need to have those conversations. So we're saying to you, we know it's uncomfortable. Yeah, but it's necessary. It's necessary. Just like when you go on an adventure with your friends, like when I went and I said for my 50th, I was going to jump out of an airplane. That was, everybody was like, girl, are you crazy? And I was like, yeah, a little bit. Are you nervous? I was like, yeah, a whole lot. It was like, well, why are you doing it? I'm just like, well, because I just don't want to live my life in fear. I'm just gonna do it in fear. I'm just gonna do it. So what I'm saying, everybody, is just like we do social things in fear, getting on roller coasters, experimenting with wearing a new color or changing your hair. You're nervous about that. It's the same thing when it comes to discussing conversations that are touchy. But like I say all the time, you are so worth it. You're so worth it. So let's look at another clip.
That building is a part of the worst legacy, and we are the next generation to do something about it.
Yeah.
So just like Lara said, we're the next generation to do something about it. What'd you say, LaJill?
Oh, LaJill, are you going to tell the story? Are you? Please, we can't. For those who haven't seen it, you have to see it.
I would just like, for the record, for everyone that's watching, I love Malik.
I love him too. I love him too.
No, you don't.
Not like I love him.
I love him too. And everyone who hasn't watched it, you guys are going to love him even more.
Oh, I love Malik. And that's another thing, like, I've seen this movie, like I've studied it. Like, it's like if Malik had told when he first got that, because sometimes not facing a diagnosis will cause you to get sicker quicker.
Yeah. Yes. And our men don't go to the hospital. They don't go to doctor's appointments. They cancel them all the time.
They do not. And that's another thing we touched on. Like, that's what I with Granny Gail in the church. Like, that's real. Like, they rather be like, just put it on the altar. I'm gonna just
God,
like,
God's gonna bless me. God's gonna heal me.
Yes, you can't have therapy and Jesus and therapy. Like, you can't have Jesus and a primary care physician. Like, for real.
Like, honestly, like, exercise wisdom. I mean, God equipped them to handle your different situations. Like, he didn't give everybody the same gift.
But and it's generational, because our older generations didn't go to the doctor. They didn't receive quality health care. So when they did go to the hospital, they did not come back out.
Yeah. I was gonna say we have to know
that put fear, like, the hospital killing us. Don't take me to the hospital, because we go to the hospital to die.
Yeah, we definitely have to acknowledge the history, and it goes back to that's what's going to help change too, because again, there are still some people who were around when they were testing a lot of things on us. You know, we're not really that far removed. If we really want to be honest, I know what my grandmother, my actual direct grandmother, my mom's mom, she was one of the first people that worked in the cotton field when it was an actual job. Like, once slavery was over, she was able to actually work in the field as a job. Like, it wasn't something that was far removed. So I think if we can, somebody said this the other day, they said, sit with the oldest person in your family and just have a recorder and just record whatever they say. I think that will kind of help bridge some of those gaps too. So then we can start to heal some of those things. Because trust me, the medical field still don't do as well. I remember almost dying when I was giving birth to my son, you know? So like I'm a victim of that, but that still doesn't keep me from going to the doctor. It still doesn't keep me from taking care of my autoimmune disease and things like that. So as you said, if you share it, and you don't have to share it with everybody. You know, I always tell people, have that one person that you can trust to tell anything to, so then that person can be with you. So even if the character didn't share it with everybody,
make sure they are wise counsel.
Yes.
Yes.
There's a lot of blind leading the blind.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In fact, you know what? I will say I am now an advocate for production therapists to be on with any production, any film. We shout out to Candace Washington. We couldn't bring her on set because of scheduling, but she was with us, you know, during post and afterwards. And you know, I mean, it's just okay, we're just talking about, you know, film specifically. You know, you're working long hours, you're working with all different personalities, right? It can be a lot. And then you're bringing in whatever you have going on at home, right, into the process, right? Or whatever you have dealt with for however long you've dealt with into your work, right?
Yeah.
So I really do say, you know, having a production therapist, I mean, it was just, to me, it was just a beautiful thing. I will always have a production therapist as a part of the crew. If any producers are watching right now, I encourage you to do so, right? And it's going
our cast.
Yeah.
We didn't know this. This is how I know it was all God.
Oh.
For our cast, they really were the characters. So for them, it was such an emotional role because of their past. And what, like, these are 4 foster kids, and you have children, you have castmates who've grown up in the foster care system.
Yep.
Not believe it.
Like,
right?
And even with Jared, who played Malik, we didn't know that a year prior, he literally watched his grandmother deal with the same illness and pass away from the same illness that he was playing the character.
Oh my gosh. Wow. And so it's because of things like that, we don't know what may trigger people.
Right.
Exactly.
We don't know. Like people have different triggers, you know, and just playing that character, like you said, probably put them in a whole nother headspace. And so, like you said, Loretta, it's so paramount. It's so important that we have the on-site therapist so that if by chance we may have to say, yo, we shutting down for a few seconds because because we need to deal with this. I want to say, Sean, thank you for joining. I see you, Lynn Drew. I see you, and the Quantum Leap. Hi. I think that's my dad. Hi, Dad. I so love you. But listen, y'all, listen. So let's talk about eating disorders. Eating disorders. And I know when I was many years ago when I was working at the Pentagon, and one of my girlfriends that I worked with, when we would go to lunch and eat, I would say, I can't sit beside you and eat. I can't eat. And she'd be like, why? I said, because you just like eating so fast. Like, you just like eating so fast. And she was just like, and she shared that when she was growing up, they were homeless. Her and her mom were homeless. They were living in her mom's car. And so they really never knew like when they was going to eat, and if they ate or if they stole something to eat, they had to eat it quickly. And so she was just like, I just never noticed that I was eating so fast, but that is the reason why. And you just be so surprised why people suffer from what they suffer from. So Malara, talk about eating disorders and how we in the African-American community or any community can recognize that in ourselves, in our children, in our spouses.
So I believe eating disorders come from, that is the only space that we can seek refuge that nobody else can control besides yourself. And because it's the only thing that we can control, we tend to not want to control it. What do I mean by that? For me, I actually personally struggle with eating disorders. I have been diagnosed. I've had a whole gastric sleeve. I have a whole autoimmune disease for the rest of my life because of it. But the one thing that I learned was it became my parent. It became where I went to when I was excited. It became where I went to when I was sad. It became where I went to when I needed advice. It was the refuge that I can seek. And because that was the one thing that could not tell me no, it was the one thing that could not tell me I wasn't valuable, that couldn't tell me I didn't do well, I overindulged in it, right? So now you have that side. That's the emotional eating. That's the overeating. That is the, I'm finding, they call it comfort foods for a reason. That's where I feel comfortable. Or you have it where we live in a society that paints this picture of what you should look like. And if I feel like I don't look like that way, then I'm going to keep myself from eating. And that's when you have the anorexia disorder or bulimia, where you're trying to keep up with a certain image. Or some people have what they call body dysmorphic, where I look in the mirror and I hate what I see. So it's all up here in the mind. So what I genuinely tell people, what is really huge in this space is, number one, you need to know, and hopefully somebody's watching this that may be struggling with this, is you are valuable just the way you are. When you look in the mirror, you are literally the fingerprint of the creator. So if I know that I'm the fingerprint of the creator, no matter if I'm big, little, small, or whatever, I know that I'm valuable. And I know that I'm a gift. And that took me a really long time to really get that. And then secondly, somebody said something to me that was so powerful. They said, if God dwells in this temple, and I'm Christian, so hey, this is the analogy I got. But if God dwells in this temple, every time I eat, I'm feeding Jesus. So if he tells me that I'm full, am I going to give him more? Or I'm going to go ahead and clean up everything and put up all the stuff. Or if he tells me I'm hungry, I'm not going to feed him. And when somebody told me that, anytime I sit down and I'm eating, I'm thinking about it in that way. I am not eating because I'm now emotional or I'm sad or I'm trying to fill a void, but I'm eating because I need this to truly nourish my body, and I cannot fulfill my purpose if my temple dies. Les Brown says it this way. He says, most people die at age 30. They just don't get buried until they're 70. Right. It goes to your food. So whatever I feed myself, and I also tell people we need to take away the emotional eating just from food. We emotionally eat with what we watch. We emotionally eat with what we listen to. We emotionally eat with the people that we surround ourselves with. So when we make it what we're consuming as a whole, when I'm working with people who do have eating disorders, there's a thing that's called DBT. If you're looking for what type of treatment to do that is proven to help people with emotional eating and those who are suicidal, because it takes you through the steps of really finding value and meaning. A lot of people struggle because they don't feel like they're valuable enough.
Wow. That was really good.
I learned something.
Yeah. I would like to point out.
Yes.
That, I am an emotional eater. I am. At one point during COVID, well, right before COVID, it was 2019. My mother passed away January 1st, 2019. I literally just, like, I was dying. I wanted to die. Like, it was like, I didn't care. Like, I had lost my grandmother the year before. I lost my mom. The only reason I'm here today is because I did not want my daughters to lose their great-grandmother, their grandmother, and my mother. I was like, I cannot do that to them.
Right.
I was 336 pounds at one point, and I went to the doctor, and he was like, he wrote me 6 prescriptions.
6?
Yes. And I was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to lose weight on my own. Because he was like, we got to prep you for surgery. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Because at that time, all I could think about is all the drugs and the medication that they had given my mother. So I was like, no, he's trying to kill me. Like, he's trying to kill me. So I literally, as revenge against my primary care physician, I went on a whole nutritional, like, I'm losing weight. I'm about to lose weight. Within a year, I had lost 111 pounds. Now, I didn't realize until I moved to Atlanta a year and a half later, and I was happy. The reason that I lost that weight was because I was depressed. I was sad. I was miserable. I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't doing anything. The only thing I was doing was writing. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Like, so.
Isolation.
It was isolation. But everybody told me, like, oh my God, you look amazing. You look so great. We're so proud of you. We're so happy. Da, 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 da. And I was like, thanks. And then when I moved to Atlanta and I started getting happy and I got happy weight, everybody's like, are you okay? Are you like, and I'm like, I'm happy. That's why. And that's when I learned, like, I cannot allow how I look to be determined by other people. And I have to recognize my emotional triggers.
Right.
Well. And one of the things that we did with For What It's Worth, I needed to feel seen. And people that look like me and my daughter and my sister, like, we don't see ourselves portrayed on television a lot.
Let me tell you, the love scene
of God, both of our female leads, both of our female leads, beautiful, brown, herbaceous, amazing. Not only that, but both of them have love interests. They ain't sitting around moping, being lonely, being like, no. They look clean. And they both got to go. One of them got 2 love interests.
Shout out to your production team, because when I watched it and the love scene, oh my God, I don't know what that noise is. Do y'all hear it too?
Yes.
I don't know what that is.
Okay,
I don't hear it now.
Yeah.
Okay, but the love scenes and just how I want to say how you just took care of these bodies. Like, the ladies' bodies, like the angles, when they were in the shower. Y'all got to see that scene. Oh, it was nice and steamy, and it was just so tasty. It was full of sexual chemistry, and it was just like but it was just so tasteful, and I felt like they felt comfortable in the way in which it was filmed and how they were portrayed. Like, kudos to your production team who
Our director, Courtney Arlette. And now I will say, Courtney, she described to me what she wanted to do with those scenes. And I said, what? She said, no, they're not going to be naked. And I said, okay, what? Right. But I think, it was, beautifully done. And, you have moments that you can even connect in those intimate moments, right? And Natasha said, right. No, you can, but the way, I have to say, the way it was shot, I mean, we had Ron Toussaint as our VP, director of photography, and with Courtney's vision, I mean, I think those are beautiful, and we feel the connection. Each time, and
we felt some connection.
Oh my God,
Alan and Quincy, Lord have mercy. Like,
you wrote this, LaJill.
Thing that we were not expecting. Like, it was like, wait, and I got more messages about the people are like, we need more of, and I was like, wait, hold on. Wait, what?
Like, I just need to know what the conversation is, or what the verbiage is with those likes, because the like to me is saying a whole lot. Like I can't go
it's giving TV series.
But here's the thing, and I'm so appreciative to Loretta for allowing our female leads to be who they are, because one, I'm so proud. But what they did, they brought their talent. They didn't just bring their beauty, they brought their talent. And I needed for people to see, stop looking like, like you got to be a size in order to be on screen and in order to be effective.
But that's the way I felt. That was the way I felt for so many years. I would say, I'm not ready. I'm not ready because I am not a size 10. I'm a size 13. I'm a size 16, or I'm a size 18. And every year I'd be like, girl, why can't you get it together if you saying you want to act? But when I mean, oh my God, when I was on the set of that movie, I was just like, I mean, it just brought tears to my eyes, because it was just like a woman, a plus size woman. And it took me, guys, oh my gosh, it took me to maybe about 45, 46 to be comfortable in my own skin. Mm-hmm. Like, to be comfortable. I'd be like, ooh, I love her. My kids be like, really? I'd be like, I'm going to work on her. But she's so much comfort. I so love her. Mm-hmm. But I was just so overjoyed and so elated that y'all took so much care to detail, and you made it still look sexy, and you still made, because sometimes people feel like, because of what, you can't be sexy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's a whole nother.
Yeah. I mean, we had a beautiful cast. I think a beautiful cast, right? Mm-hmm. And
Pastor Mike was crazy.
Yes. Pastor Mike. Oh my goodness. That it was a lot of fun, a good, fun, beautiful cast. But I love the fact, I mean, you know, in your life, in your circles, most of, the women, your friends, family, a lot of them aren't a size 0, size 2, right? So, it was something that I loved. And when LaJill, presented it to me, I said, you know what? We're just going to do it. It's not going to be in your face. There's no, it's not going to be.
And we didn't mention it. We were just like,
right.
This is who we like. this is who we want, because we knew if we had said, well, Naomi is curvaceous and plus size, they would have been like,
that's a different audience.
Yes.
Right? That's not for me, right?
Yes. So, but Loretta, I was like, we're just gonna say this is who we're gonna have. Like, this is our lead.
Because that's who you got.
This is our lead.
This is it.
That's the talent.
Exactly. And I'm so grateful that she handled it that way.
And it's crazy that you have to be strategic like that.
Yeah.
We're normalizing.
That's what she did. She normalized.
Yes.
She just normalized it. Like, and it just, I was like, and so many people, that's what they're saying. They were like, these women are beautiful and da 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 da. And because they brought their talent to the screen, no one is saying these are beautiful plus size women. They're just like, I love Naomi. Naomi is me. Fallon is me. Like, and I'm like, we did it.
So while you're saying that, I'm gonna play the scene. Fallon sings "Summer Body."
Okay. What happened to, getting snatched up, getting the body summer ready?
The summer is going to get whatever body that I give it.
Okay, I know that's right. You better give it to him.
I love that line. I was like, okay, LaJill. I love that line. That's one of my favorites. Yeah.
So LaJill, what's one of your favorite? It's 10 o'clock. This has been such an awesome show. But LaJill, tell me what's one of your favorite parts or sayings or lines in the movie?
One of my favorite lines in the movie. My favorite scene, like, it's so many. There are two scenes that I love. One, Naomi and Gerard, when they come to terms, and she says, "You are a bully," and da 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 da. Like, I love that sibling come to terms moment where, like, they see each other for who they truly are.
Yeah,
I love that scene. And then the scene where Naomi is asleep in the hospital room and she wakes up and she and Malik have the conversation about why they kept secrets. And it is the beginning. It's just the beginning of just it, like that scene from beginning all the way to the end until, like, they start playing for what it's worth.
Okay.
And, like, from like that, when they literally, she apologizes, he apologizes, and it's a heart moment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You hear about that, y'all? It's a heart moment. And it's so many moments in this movie. Now, we showed you about 4 clips. What we need you to do is go to BET Plus, download BET Plus, and we want you to watch For What It's Worth. It is, for what it's worth, it's gonna save you a lot. It's going to save you a lot. And I think it's going to start the conversation right in your own home and right with yourself, because the conversation has to first start or begin with you. It begins with you being willing to accept all of you, your flaws and all. Because as we say all the time, you are so worth it. And you see, I'm having a moment over here. I'm having when I say a moments. I'm having some moments right now, y'all.
Go ahead, Miss Kelsa.
Okay, because baby,
yeah,
baby, if you live long enough, you get there too. But listen, everybody, this has been another episode of Mental Moments, where we shed light on issues that plague our communities, but people don't necessarily want to talk about. I thank you, LaJill. I thank you, Loretta, for coming on tonight and sharing with us your passion. I mean, this was your passion, baby. Like, LaJill, just to sit and look at you right now, you just be like this. Oh, this is so hot. Your head is straight up to the ceiling because you're just like so overwhelmed with happiness and joy of the birth of this baby of yours. And so, Loretta, thank you for just even listening to the voice of God to even ask LaJill and for you trusting each other to do and to stay in each other in your own perspective lanes to perfect this project. And so the birth of this baby was so beautiful. And I admonish everybody to please go out. Please download BET Plus and watch for what it's worth. Malira?
So while you was over there with your fan, that's the sound y'all hearing is my fan. So, I don't know if we just both having moments or what's happening. But to LaJill and Loretta, again, thank you for being a part of the solution. The only way we can make change is if we put stuff in front of our faces so we can begin to recognize that some things that we feel we're doing by ourselves, other people are experiencing it as well. So we can open ourselves up for that help and support. So I'm just grateful to have you guys tonight. Tasha, thank you for allowing me to be a part of the conversation. And I hope that's something that I share really help you all in your field as well, because again, we need it. We need more movies like this. We need more spaces like this where we're normalizing what people are really experiencing.
And thank everybody for watching tonight. Please join us again and please hashtag mental moments. Please go out onto my YouTube page, subscribe, like, and share. We will see you again next Wednesday night at 9 p.m. for another episode of Mental Moments. We'll see you then.
Thank you. Thank you.